Hi, Carl David is here tonight to describe to us the steps that he and his family went through to survive a suicide. So go ahead, Carl, tell us what's involved with that.
Well, it's a pretty heavy process. This was something that blindsided our family. I lost a brother to suicide when I was 16. He was 22. And this just came out of the blue. No signs, no notes, nothing, no suspicions, no erratic behavior. So as a family, we just basically had to pull together, and with the strength that we had as a family and our love for each other and our concern for one another, we managed over a period of years to get through it as best we could. Suicide's not something that you ever get over. It's just something that you learn to live with as best you can. We had professional help. We had the circle of family and friends around us to help get us through. But this was in the 1960s at a time when this kind of thing was shunned and not talked about. There was a stigma of shame attached to it. And it was something that there was a silent criticism, if you will, that was all pervasive. And that was something else we had to endure and fight, through as we struggled back towards survival.
Yeah,
not an easy task, to say the least.
No. My sister-in-law committed suicide in the 60s, so I know exactly what you mean.
I'm sorry to hear that.
Well, it was a long time ago now, but it was very difficult then.
Well, you know what? It's something that stays with you the rest of your life. It gets easier as the years go by, but it just takes the slightest little trigger to kick it all off again when you hear about someone else who's just committed suicide or who has a friend or a family member who's committed suicide. It just brings it all back to the forefront, and it's like timeless. I mean, it's yesterday, today, and tomorrow all in one.
Yeah, whenever we have some historical event, I'll think, Linda never got to see that.
Exactly, and it's the good times that are the most painful. The bad times you struggle through, but the good times are the ones that you really miss these people. You miss your family, and it's hard. But it is what it is, and we as a family were 5, and suddenly we were thrust into a circle of 4. And we had the choice to, go on or not. We could have taken each other apart, but we chose not to do that. And, we realized that life goes on with us or without us. And it then becomes a situation where, you have to claw your way out of the darkness back to light and live your life, because life is a gift, and every day you get up is a gift, and, you can't really in good conscience throw that away.
And do you feel that the model for the hero's journey helps understand that process?
I think so. I think that our journey as a family has been heroic, only in the sense that we've gotten through this as best we can, and we've moved on. And what I'm doing now, and what I've been doing for years, and I'm using my book, which is called Baderfield, How My Family Survived Suicide. I'm using it as a tool, if you will, a method to reach out and to try and get the word out in written word that suicide is never, ever the answer. It's a permanent solution to a temporary problem. And I'm using this to try and reach young kids, teenagers, young adults, even adults who may be on that last edge of desperation, to show them that they're not alone. There's help out there. They're loved. And there's always tomorrow. As bad as today is, tomorrow gives you another chance. It's a redo. Life is always a redo if you're lucky enough to get up that morning. And that's what it's all about. So I'm using this as a venue, if you will, to reach out and try and save lives, even one. Yes. And my wife said to me, you may never know whether you've saved a life or not. And she said, it's not really important. And I said, you're right. It's not important. It's the fact that I've thrown this pebble out on the water and it's created ripples, and who knows where it's going to go. But I've done something good with the darkest days of my life. I'm paying it forward. And that's the best thing I can do, because I'm armed with this experience and I don't do anything with it. That's selfish. I have an experience that I need to convey and translate to do something better with it.
Yeah. I've always kind of thought we shouldn't say to young people, these are the best years of your life, because if they're having a hard time, and I've found that the older I get, the better life gets. So I think it's always good to stick around.
I agree. I mean, you never know what's around the corner. And, maybe these are the best days of your life. Maybe they're not. But it's really difficult to categorize that because you don't know what's ahead of you. And there are a lot of good things out there. Life is great.
And things can change in a heartbeat.
They can, for better or worse. But they always change. They never really stay the same. And that's kind of what makes it interesting.
And how did you first come in contact with the Hero's Journey model?
I actually responded to a reporter's reach out and submitted a pitch because there was a reporter's thing on Help a Reporter Out that said something to the effect that, if you know of anyone or you think you're doing some hero's work on a journey, and it all kind of fit. Because in a way, and taking my ego out of it because I don't really have an ego, this is not about me. It's about what I can do for somebody else. So in a way, I guess if someone looked at it, and people have told me, you've been very heroic and you've been very outward about what you're doing and you've really exposed a lot. People know a lot about you and your family and you really took a chance. And in writing this book, I had one shot to get it right, to get the information out there. Once it's out there, it's out there. And, if it took me a long time to write this book, it took a couple of decades because at times it was so painful that I had to put it down for months at a time. Mm-hmm. My wife said to me, if it's too painful, don't do it. And I said, I have to do it. She said, well, then go back and feel it and live it because if you don't, it's going to be too intellectual and if I don't get it, she said, nobody's going to feel it. So I did. I went back and I relived the pain, and then those were the best chapters, that I was able to produce.
Your wife sounds like a very wise person.
She is. She's my soulmate, and she's incredible. And she's not only brilliant, but she's super intuitive. Mm-hmm. And every time I've gone against her intuition, I've paid for it.
so you know better than to do that.
I've learned.
She's your little
I'm a man. We learn slowly, but we learn.
What do you think? She's either your sidekick or your magical mentor type person?
Both. She really is both. She really does complete me. I know that sounds corny, but it's true. She's a great advisor, a great spirit, and a great soul, and I was very lucky to find her.
And were you married to her when your brother committed suicide?
No, I was 16 and I hadn't met my wife until I was 21. So it was after I got out of college that I had met her.
Okay.
We've been together, married for over 39 years now, and just goes by too quickly. It's the best thing I ever did.
Cool. And where can people pick up your book, Carl?
The book is everywhere. It's primarily at this point online. You can get it on Amazon. You can get it at BarnesandNoble.com, Borders.com if they're still in business. You can get it on my website, which is CarlEDavid.com. That's Carl with a C. And you can get it on my publisher's website, which is Nightingale Press. It's NightingalePress.com. And now it's available on Kobo. It will be available on Kindle. It's in the Apple iBook store. It's also on, I can't remember the name of the other electronic venue, but it's in about 60 digital markets worldwide. So if you do a search for Bader Field by Carl David, it'll come up in a myriad of places.
Wow. Okay. That sounds good. That's like so many places. So CarlEDavid.com might be the best.
Probably. It's at the website. Or just Amazon. It's easy enough to get it through. So it's out there. If anybody can't remember where, just do a search for Bader Field by Carl David, and it'll pop up. And it's available. Online, the ebook is, I think, $7.97 or something. The paperback copy is, I think, $15.95, depending on where you get it. But if you do it digitally, you've got it immediately, and it's half the price.
Right. And what else would you like to tell our viewers about your book or your journey?
Well, I'm an art dealer by trade. We're 4 generations in this business. I'm the 3rd generation, and we're in Philadelphia. We deal in American and European paintings, drawings, and watercolors, and it's a real passion with me because I've grown up with it, I've lived it, and it's what I do every day. That said, what I'm doing with this book, I'm reaching out and trying to prevent kids from taking their lives, trying to show them the value of life. That just because their boyfriend broke up with them or girlfriend broke up with them or this is a tragedy and this is that, this is no reason to throw your life away. That aspect of my life, that hat that I wear is just as important to me as what I do every day in my trade as an art dealer. So it's almost as if I've got a second career, and it's expanding, and I'm doing more radio work and more television work and more newspaper journal interviews and everywhere I can. And I can't stop myself. I mean, it's just really, it's a passion, and it's become a real serious endeavor for me. And ultimately what I'm trying to do is have the book made into a movie, because a lot of kids don't read, or if they read, they're not reading something like this. But if they watched it on the big screen, it would really have an impact.
And are you available for public speaking engagements?
I am. I'm actually trying to accrue a series of public speaking engagements. It's not as easy as you might imagine, but because this is a tough subject, and suicide is something that still bears this like, oh, I don't want to hear about that, or oh, that's a shame, but it's painful. It's hard.
Yes.
I mean, it's not like and yet the statistics for suicide are greater than they are for homicide. I mean, there are more suicides in the world than there are homicides. More people die of suicide than breast cancer. I mean, it's a staggering statistic. 1 million people a year take their life, leaving 5 million behind them to mourn them. And in America alone, it's like 35,000 people a year take their life. I mean, it's insane.
Wow, I had no idea the numbers were so high.
They are. They're very steep.
Oh.
This is another reason I'm trying to do something about it.
Yes, that's a inspiring thing that you're doing. Thank you for that.
Thank you. I have to. It's my pleasure. It's difficult work. I mean, because it all comes back emotionally every time I do one of these things. But it's, in a way, it's cathartic, because it keeps bringing up feelings and releasing them. But at the same time, it's tough. It's hard work. It's emotionally hard work. But somebody's got to do it.
Yes, somebody does. I thank you for being that person.
Oh, you're welcome. Thank you.
Okay, well, I will let you know when we're going to air this, and I hope you'll keep us posted on what you're doing.
I will do that. I will send you emails. I've done a lot of interviews lately, and some of them will be due to air shortly, and I've been written up on a couple of very nice things. I did a show with Lynn Doyle on Comcast. She has a show called It's Your Call, and it's nationally seen, and it just won first place. It was called Coping After Suicide, and it just won first place by the AP for Public Service Award for the shows in the year 2011. So that was quite an honor.
Wow, great. Okay. All right.
Well, I appreciate your having me on. Thank you very much.
Okay.